Welcome to the SCP Foundation Classified Briefing. Today's subject: SCP-166, Our Lady of the Highway. Please like and subscribe for more essential intelligence. SCP-166 is currently designated as safe. However, you are cautioned against equating safe with harmless. This classification merely indicates that its containment is reliably predictable under established protocols. SCP-166 is not overtly aggressive. Its primary anomalous effect involves a profound, detrimental environmental impact on anthropogenic materials and organisms not naturally evolved. Within its immediate vicinity, synthetic substances rapidly biodegrade, and cultivated flora or domesticated fauna experience rapid, irreversible decay. Its very presence generates a radius of spontaneous ecological remediation, reverting areas to a primordial, untamed state. What sets SCP-166 apart is its unique biology and inherent passive danger. It does not actively choose to cause these effects. They are an intrinsic function of its existence. Its anomalous properties pose an existential threat to modern infrastructure and human-modified ecosystems, necessitating continuous, stringent containment within a specially prepared, isolated biome. Maintaining this pristine environment is paramount. Any deviation risks an uncontrollable cascade failure of local ecosystems, a situation you are strictly forbidden from initiating or overlooking. SCP-166 appears as a humanoid female, approximately 1.6 meters in height, exhibiting features associated with youthful human beauty. Its epidermis is notably pale, and it possesses long, silver-white hair and bioluminescent, crimson eyes. These physical characteristics are not merely aesthetic. They are intrinsically linked to its anomalous nature. The entity is a Type P humanoid, genetically identified as a variant of times Homo sapiens with significant non-human mitochondrial DNA markers. Direct, prolonged visual exposure to SCP-166 has been empirically observed to induce a significant psychological effect on human subjects. Personnel tasked with its observation, particularly those without specific countermemetic training, report an overwhelming compulsion to nurture, protect, or otherwise act with extreme benevolence towards the anomaly, often at the expense of established containment protocols or personal safety. This effect is subtle but insidious, progressively eroding objectivity and professional distance. You must understand that this is not a matter of weakness, but an inherent hazard of its presence. Objectivity is paramount in all interactions. SCP-166 is contained within a specially constructed biosealed habitat located deep within Site-17. This environment is meticulously maintained as a pristine, uncultivated biome, replicating what is theorized to be its native ecological niche, completely devoid of anthropogenic materials or modified organisms. Rigorous environmental monitoring ensures the air, water, and soil remain free of synthetic contaminants, preventing the activation of its inherent decay effect. Access to SCP-166's primary containment chamber is strictly limited to Level 3 personnel and above, operating under an all-female staff mandate. This protocol is a critical safeguard. Empirical data indicates that the psychological compulsion previously discussed, which induces protective and benevolent sentiments towards the anomaly, is significantly amplified and more difficult to mitigate in male subjects, leading to repeated protocol violations. All personnel assigned to SCP-166, regardless of gender, undergo mandatory, frequent psychological evaluations. The slightest indication of compromised objectivity necessitates immediate reassignment. You are expected to uphold these unusual, yet essential, containment parameters without question. Early containment efforts, preceding the implementation of the all-female staff mandate, regrettably provided stark evidence of the anomaly's capacity to influence personnel. Incident 166-03, involving Dr. Eris Thorne, a leading xenobotanist, occurred when he insisted on direct observation for a proposed ecological study. Despite warnings, his exposure led to a rapid onset of the protective compulsion, resulting in him attempting to introduce unapproved, chemically treated flora into its habitat. This act nearly triggered a containment breach through an uncontrolled decay event, converting significant portions of the containment cell's environment into a barren wasteland. Similar, though less severe, incidents involving male security personnel bypassing observation protocols to comfort the anomaly are also documented. These breaches invariably led to personnel neglecting their duties, exhibiting irrational self-sacrifice, and even attempting to obstruct Foundation response teams. These historical failures underscore the critical necessity of current procedures and the extreme vulnerability of unmitigated male exposure. Your unwavering adherence to all female personnel protocols for direct interaction is non-negotiable. SCP-166 was first brought to Foundation attention through intelligence intercepts concerning a secluded monastic order known as the Order of the Veil. For centuries, this cloistered convent had discreetly housed and protected the anomaly, attributing its unique properties to divine providence. Their methods, while rudimentary by Foundation standards, involved strict isolation within a natural preserve, inadvertently mimicking many of our current containment protocols regarding environmental purity. However, a significant increase in anomalous activity in the surrounding region, coupled with the Order's dwindling numbers and increasing vulnerability to external interest, necessitated Foundation intervention. Our recovery operation was initiated preemptively to prevent the anomaly's accidental exposure or intentional acquisition by rival groups of interest, who might not appreciate the delicate balance required for its containment. The transition from their stewardship to ours was complex, but successful, securing its long-term isolation. Understanding this intricate history is paramount to appreciating the ongoing effort required to maintain its secure containment. The Order of the Veil's centuries of documentation, recovered during the acquisition, details a pervasive belief in SCP-166's supernatural parentage. Their texts, though couched in theological language, consistently describe its biological mother as a human woman and its father as an entity of significant anomalous power, often termed a Sylvan Lord or Spirit of the Wilds. This narrative profoundly influenced their custodial approach, seeing the anomaly not as a threat, but as a sacred charge, requiring protection from human corruption and environmental pollutants. The nuns believed they were safeguarding a delicate, divine being whose purity was paramount to its very existence, and that its aversion to synthetic materials and pollution was a holy mandate. While Foundation science classifies its origin as anomalous without spiritual endorsement, these historical records provide crucial insight into the anomaly's intrinsic connection to natural environments and its potent, if passive, influence over human perception. You must disregard all spiritual interpretations and focus solely on observable effects and established containment protocols. The psychological impact of SCP-166 on assigned personnel warrants significant attention. While it exhibits no direct mind-altering properties, prolonged exposure or even infrequent interaction often leads to the development of pronounced protective instincts or romanticized fixations towards the anomaly. This manifests as an atypical desire to improve its living conditions beyond protocol, provide unauthorized comforts, or advocate for its release. Psychiatric evaluations reveal that these patterns are not rooted in logical assessment, but rather an intense, often subconscious, empathic response to its perceived vulnerability and inherent purity, as observed by the former monastic order. The number of personnel requiring reassignment due to these developing obsessions is statistically significant, posing a persistent operational challenge. These individuals, despite their professional training, begin to view standard containment as an injustice. You must remain acutely aware of this insidious psychological drift and report any such inclinations immediately. Personal sentiment has no place in secure containment operations. The history of SCP-166's containment is unfortunately marked by several incidents stemming directly from personnel succumbing to its subtle psychological influence. These reports detail attempts by compromised staff to unilaterally alter its living conditions, introduce prohibited organic materials, or even facilitate unauthorized direct contact, often under the misguided belief they were acting in the anomaly's best interest. One notable instance involved junior researcher R.E. Dactid, who, after extended exposure, developed a profound protective complex. Ignoring multiple direct orders, he attempted to introduce a live sapling into its chamber, leading to a containment breach when the anomaly's aversive properties reacted violently with his contaminated uniform. While the breach was contained without further incident, the physical and psychological toll on researcher Redacted was severe, necessitating his immediate reassignment and extensive psychological intervention. Such incidents underscore the constant vigilance required. You are not its guardian nor its confidant. You are a Foundation operative. Adherence to strict protocol is your only defense against its insidious effect. The nature of SCP-166 often prompts significant ethical discussions within Foundation circles. Its non-malicious intent, coupled with its vulnerability to our ecosystem, can lead some to perceive it as a victim, undeserving of containment. This perspective, while understandable on a human level, fundamentally misinterprets the Foundation's mandate. The anomaly's passive yet pervasive environmental effect, capable of rendering vast areas uninhabitable by non-anomalous life, represents an existential threat to global biodiversity. Furthermore, as previously detailed, its subtle psychological influence profoundly compromises personnel. The ethical paradox lies in containing an entity that presents no direct aggressive intent, yet inherently possesses destructive capabilities and undermines operational integrity. You must understand that these philosophical debates, however compelling, do not supersede the critical objective of planetary security. Your role is not to question the necessity of its containment, but to enforce it. Sentience or not, its uncontrolled existence is a catastrophic risk. Remain focused on the facts of its impact, not on subjective interpretations of its right to freedom. SCP-166 remains a paradoxical entity. Despite its benign intent, its inherent anomalous properties pose an undeniable, severe threat to global ecological stability and human society. The passive transformation of organic matter into inert material, if allowed to propagate beyond containment, would lead to irreversible environmental collapse. Furthermore, its subtle, persistent psychological influence on personnel continues to be a critical vulnerability, demanding constant vigilance and unwavering adherence to established protocols. You must never underestimate the insidious nature of its effect, nor the catastrophic consequences of a containment breach. Your primary duty is to maintain its secure, isolated environment, mitigating any potential for its influence to spread, and preventing any alteration to its carefully managed living conditions. The Foundation's responsibility to safeguard normalcy depends on your unwavering commitment to these directives. This concludes your classified briefing on SCP-166, Our Lady of the Highway. Stay vigilant, Foundation personnel. Dismissed.